Hello fellow hunters, JBiz Hunts here with another info pack video just for you. If herd management in the Hunter Call of the Wild has ever left you scratching your head, don't worry, you're not alone. Welcome to Herd Management for Dummies. And don't worry, unlike the books, no reading is required. Herd management has been a hot topic in the Hunter Call of the Wild for years, but with recent updates changing respawns and other mechanics, the old methods might not work like they used to. If you've watched guide after guide and still feel lost, you're in the right place. So grab your gear, forget the notes, because let's be real, who actually takes them, and let's dive into Herd Management for Dummies.
0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started.
Herd management in the Hunter Call of the Wild is a strategy used to influence future respawns of a specific animal species. The idea is simple. You harvest mid and high level animals while leaving those low level ones on the map. Why? Because the game's respawn system tends to replace harvested animals with ones of similar or higher quality. By keeping the weakest animals around, you're basically telling the game, hey, these scrawny guys are all I've got, which encourages it to generate bigger and better trophies over time. It's kind of like a wildlife talent show. The low-level animals are the terrible auditions to stick around, while the real stars take the stage later on. Alright, so why bother with herd management? It's simple. It helps crank out max-level animals with the highest chance of scoring that coveted diamond medal. Normally, a diamond spawns in about every 1 in 100 harvests, but with herd management, you can bring those odds way down. At the peak of my fallow deer grind, I was getting a max level deer every 12 to 15 harvest, which is way better than playing the lottery. But wait, there's more. Herd management doesn't just increase the number of high level animals, it also boosts your chances of spawning a super rare, which is even more rare than a great one. A super rare is a diamond scoring animal with a rare fur coat like piebald, albino, or melanistic. Herd management doesn't increase your chances of spawning a rare, but since you are shooting thousands of animals, you are bound to spawn a few rares along your grind. Because herd management increases your chance of spawning a diamond, you will have a higher chance of one of those rare furs that you spawn, hopefully being attached to that big diamond as well. And finally, here's where things get spicy. While it's not 100% proven, many in the community, myself included, believe herd management helps spawn a great one faster. That's why most serious grinders in Call of the Wild use this strategy. It just works when chasing those once-in-a-lifetime trophies. If you want a deep dive on the evidence of this, check out my video, The Great One Conspiracy, where I break it all down with facts and proof. Link in the description below. Good news, you can start using herd management right now. All you have to do is stop shooting low-level animals or females during your hunts. Even if you're not targeting a specific species, leaving the small ones alone gives you a shot that the respawns that do come back could come back as a diamond or a large rare. It's like passing up the sad clearance bin in the hopes that the next time the stores restock with premium goods. However, if you are planning a formal grind, like a Great One grind, you'll want to be properly prepared. I recommend reaching at least level 30, since that's when most players have the necessary skills and perks unlocked to be efficient at their grind. Unlocking your entire map so you can access all the key hunting areas to find all those zones. Having the right gear for the job, because taking down a monster buck with a starter rifle is like bringing a Nerf gun to a bear fight. Once you've got these things in place, you're all set to start grinding smarter, not harder. When it comes to herd management, having the right gear makes a huge difference. And yes, that means spending some in-game cash. So tents, they are like your best friend in a grind. It's highly recommended to have 16 tents, but let's be real, not everyone starts with that many. Early on, in-game money can be tight, especially if you've been spending it already on weapons, collars, and ammo. The good news, most animals you harvest during a Great One grind pay around 1,000 plus of in-game currency per harvest. And since tents cost $16,000, you can buy a new tent with every 16 harvests. You start with 5 tents with the purchase of the Tents and Grounds Blind DLC, if you're on PC that is. But on console, this DLC comes with the base game. But try saving up to at least 8 tents to make your grind a bit smoother from the start. As you keep harvesting animals, gradually work your way up to 16 tents, the max allowed per map. Weapons and collars, what you actually need. So collars, nice to have, but not mandatory. They do help if you want to bring the herd in closer or get that buck that's behind a tree to move out into the open for a clear shot. Weapons, they are absolutely necessary. For example, if you're grinding whitetail deer, they're a class 4 animal, which means you'll need a solid class 4 to 8 rifle, like the 308, the FL Sporter 303, or the M1 Garand. These rifles pack enough punch to take down your deer cleanly while keeping the grind efficient. Here's my pro tip. Use a bigger gun. For any Great One grind except moose and pheasants, I would suggest using a larger caliber weapon than the recommended caliber for all harvests, except for when you are going to shoot a diamond potential or a rare animal. You'd want to have the right rifle for that. Currently on my fallow grind, I'm using the Arzenia 300. You ruin the metal rating, but the animal drops right on the spot and doesn't go far, which makes tracking down the harvest much faster. You won't get full XP or full cash, but for me that's not as important as being efficient, as my time resets are expensive. If you are spending half the time tracking down bad shots, you're not spending all your time in the field knocking down some harvests. Hunting blinds, which keeps your zone safe. So another pro tip, using hunting blinds to reduce hunting pressure and avoid accidentally deleting your best zones. Some great options include tree stands, tripods, and waterfowl blinds. I made an amazing video about hunting pressure and hunting stands that's really worth the watch if you want to understand how it all works and the benefits of each hunting stand you could purchase. Video link will be in the description below. Now, before you dive into a herd management grind, or any grind for that matter, it's important to have a basic understanding of how respawns work. The better you understand the mechanics, the easier it will be for you to control what animals show up in your hunting zones. Luckily, I've already made a great video breaking down respawn mechanics and how they tie into grinding. If you want to maximize your results and make herd management even more effective, be sure to check that out. I'll have a link in the description below. Now, on to the important stuff, the herd management steps that even a dummy like me uses during his Great One grinds. It all starts with choosing your target. If you only have the base game, don't worry. Some of the most popular Great One grinds happen on base maps, like Leighton Lakes and Hirschfeld. But if you own all the DLC maps like I do, you do have a little bit more options to work with. Some maps are just easier than others for Great One grinding. Right now, at the time of this video, there are 8 Great One species in the game, and here are the best maps in my opinion for each grind. Whitetail deer, basically there's Revontuli Coast or Leighton Lakes. Red deer, Tearoa, hands down is the best map. Black bear, I only see grinds done on Silver Ridge Peaks. Moose, you have Medved, Leighton, and Revontuli Coast. I personally choose Medved. I have a video on that as well. Fallow deer, the only spot you should go is Tearoa, just like red deer. Tar, they are only available currently on Sundar Patan, and it's the only map you have available to grind them on. Red fox, I see a lot of people doing the island method on Salzwiesen Park, or Lady Legend's 2-lake method on Emerald Coast. And of course, pheasants, everyone has been doing it so far on Salzwiesen Park. However, I've seen a few people use Quattro Colinas as well. Once you've picked a species and a map, it's time to do some homework. I know, I told you no notes, but there is some homework involved with this step. You need to figure out, when do the animals drink? Drink zone herd management is the most efficient. Except, of course, for tar and pheasants. They don't drink, so target their feed times instead. You want to know where they live. Some animals are spread across the entire map, while others only appear in a specific area. Let's use white-tailed deer on Leighton Lakes. They are on the left side of the map. And you also want to know what their max level is. Each species has a different level cap. Whitetails and pheasants, they go to a max level 3. Moose, fallow deer, and tar go to a max level 5. Red deer, black bear, and red fox all go to max level 9. If you want expert advice, check out some of the best guides on YouTube. For species-specific guides, you can always look at Will the Hunter. He is fantastic. And for hotspot guides for total maps, ProXCK is the king and makes some of the best map breakdowns I've ever seen. I personally use both before I start a grind, so I highly recommend checking them both out. If you're doing a herd management grind, you need to find all of your zones. The reason? You have to manage the entire male population on the map, which means locating every single one. When I'm looking for zones, I set the time to the middle of their drink zone. Animals don't always show up at the start because they are still traveling from their feed or rest zones, so give them some time to arrive. One of the best times to find need zones for me is after their drink time ends. I hop on the ATV and I drive along the rivers or around the lakes, stopping to pick up the need zone indicators. These indicators remain on the map for 2 to 3 in-game hours after their drink time ends. When starting a grind, I keep it simple. Since you need to manage every herd, efficiency is key. I focus on zones that are close to being shot down. So, what does shot down mean? It refers to a herd zone where only small males remain, meaning you no longer have to grind there. For example, a fallow deer zone with 2 level 2 bucks is considered shot down. At the beginning of a grind, the goal is to spawn as many small males as possible. The diamonds will come later, so be patient. I get excited when a level 2 fallow deer or a level 2 moose spawns because it means progress. Early in the grind, target zones that have smaller males, such as fallow and moose if they have a level 3 male in there, red deer if they have level 5 or 6 males. Key zones to prioritize for me: zones with multiple males, especially those with max weight estimates. What about solo males? Handle them at the same time as the other zones. Leaving large solo males can become a problem later on, so you want them to respawn smaller, or ideally, swap with smaller males in herds. So here's a trick. Shoot a big solo male, but don't pick it up. Then, go shoot a small male in a herd and leave it on the ground as well. Go to the main menu and reload the game. This forces them to respawn in the pool together, giving you a 50-50 chance of them swapping. Placing your tents correctly is crucial for an efficient grind. Here's how I do it. I mark the zone on the map, and then I walk 250 meters away, and then I place down my tent. There are 3 key factors for tent placement that I do pay attention to. Number 1 is wind direction. I always try to place my tents downwind from the zone so animals don't spook from my scent. Number 2, other drink zones. I avoid placing a tent too close to another drink zone, as I don't want to spook animals when I fast travel in. And number 3, having a clear line of sight. Make sure you have a good visibility of the zone so you can confirm the animals are there when you fast travel, as well as to be able to get a nice clean shot at your kills. Hunting blinds help reduce hunting pressure, preventing good zones from being deleted. Without a blind, killing 4 animals in one area can create too much pressure and delete your zones, forcing you to have to go find them and rediscover them. Some types of hunting structures available would be ground blinds in the tent DLC, waterfowl blinds in the duck and cover DLC, and tripods and tree stands in the tripod and tree stands DLC. If you own all the DLCs, you start with 3 of each kind, giving you roughly 12 to start with. A great way to save money early on for future tent purchases in early grinding. I usually place a hunting stand roughly about 200 meters from the zone. This allows for clear shots at 150 meter zeroing, or just manually aiming if you don't have the perk. You can also run to the 200 meter mark without spooking the herds, which is a bonus. You don't want to be spooking animals before you even get a chance to shoot them. I have a hunting stand guide linked in the description below if you need more details on hunting pressure and everything hunting stands. The game mechanics behind respawns is weight based. Each level has a minimum weight, and this determines what spawns next. The easiest way to manage herds? Leave all the small males and only shoot the bigger ones. What to leave and what to shoot? Pheasants and whitetail? Leave all the ones. Shoot level 2 and 3. Fallow moose and tar? Leave the level 1 and 2s. Shoot 3, 4s, and 5s. Red deer, red fox, and black bear? Leave levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. Shoot all levels 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. By keeping the lowest weight animals on your map, your final 12 to 16 zones will only contain max weight estimates, increasing your chances of spawning a great one. You may have heard of dirty grinding, which is shooting animals without claiming them and then going to the main menu to force the respawn. Don't do this. It can break your map and cause respawns to become inconsistent. Plus, you're leaving in-game cash on the ground. Jaxie Beard, an EW community manager, has stated that not claiming your harvest negatively impacts great ones respawning. So if you want a great one, pick up your kills. A few unclaimed kills won't ruin your grind, so don't worry about that, but making it a habit will. What is stacking? Stacking means leaving big animals in your best zones to save them for later. I usually stack max level animals, but I've tested stacking max weight estimate males too, and it works just the same. For example, if you have 2 max weight estimate males in a great zone, you can leave them and focus on grinding elsewhere. Some believe keeping big males on the map forces smaller respawns. If true, stacking helps early on in your grind. Herd management isn't just about spawning diamonds. It's also about getting small males early in your grind. When a zone contains only low-level males, remove your tent. It's shot down and no longer part of your grind. Getting a level 1 whitetail or a level 4 red deer should just be as exciting as a diamond because it means you're on the right step and one step closer to finishing your grind. Here are some quick tips to getting animals into their zones, because sometimes animals don't show up after fast traveling to their zone. Try these tricks. Go to another zone and then return back. Sometimes this forces them to show up. Enter and exit a tripod. This forces a loading screen. You'll see that little black screen come up. Sometimes that's what gets them into their zone faster. And the third step that I always try is set the time forward 1 minute in the tent. That's called the 1 minute trick. It can get expensive, but that's usually my last resort. I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions that I get asked about herd management. I only found about 30 zones, but most guides say there should be 35 to 40. Help. Every map is unique, so you may just have a fewer zones than the next person. That's a good thing, less to manage. However, one big thing that I always tell people is some zones contain multiple herds, meaning you might already have found all your zones without realizing it. I have seen in places where 3 solo males have shared one zone, or 2 herds are sharing the same indicator, or you sometimes have a solo male attached to a herd zone. So there's 2 that could be found. However, you're only going to find 1. So pay attention to the size of the herds or how many solos are around. That could indicate why doesn't look like you're finding all your zones. What if I accidentally shoot a small male? No worries. It may respawn bigger, meaning you'll just need to shoot it down again. What if I shoot a female by accident? It will likely do one of 3 things. It will likely respawn in the same zone, which is the most likely scenario. It may swap places with a male in another zone, so check all your zones to see if you have a random extra male or a random extra female around. Or, worst case scenario, and least likely, it could break off and form a new zone with some other males that you've been shooting. What is a jumper? A jumper is a male animal from your main zones that moves to an exterior zone. This can happen naturally during a grind. To stay on top of jumpers, it's best practice to check all your zones every 250 to 500 harvests. This ensures you're not losing key males to exterior zones, which can slow down your grind. Why are animals slow to return to zones? Animals can be slow for a few reasons. 1, travel time. They need time to commute from their last feed or rest zone to their drink zone. That's why it's best to grind midway through their drink time instead of right at the start. Grind fatigue is number 2. Over time, animals tend to return more slowly to their zones the longer your grind continues. And number 3 is spooking. If animals are spooked, they won't return to their zone until they feel safe. If you notice this happening, go to the main menu and reload, and they should be back to calm. How do you choose a main zone versus an exterior zone? I prefer main zones that meet this criteria. They have 4+ animals in the zone and at least 2 males. The reason? If you shoot 2 males and leave 2 animals, you avoid creating a solo zone. That won't produce any more males. Plus, having at least 2 males gives you more options for targeting the right animals. And that wraps up my Herd Management for Dummies guide. Hopefully this helps you set up and optimize your next grind for success. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Call to Wild content. I post guides, tips, and strategies to help make your hunts even better. Let me know in the comments what you're grinding for right now, and if you have any questions, I'm always happy to help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, fellow hunters, happy hunting.